I woke up this morning, I'm blessed. You woke up this morning, you are blessed. A blessed morning, dear students. I hope you're doing fine and you're revising your lessons side by side. And believe me that if you will be simultaneously working on them, you will be able to understand the virtual classes very well. For any doubts, you can contact me personally or via WhatsApp, you can send messages and you can clear your queries. If you remember, in the last video we did study the Green Revolution and its effects, and apart from that I told you that now we'll be talking on its beneficiaries. So moving on to our first slide, let me read a passage for you from the NCERT textbook, Beneficiaries of the Process. The Green Revolution delivered only a moderate, that is kind of an average, you can say, effect on the agricultural growth, mainly a rise in the wheat production, and raised the availability of food in the country, but increased polarization between classes and regions. Some regions, basically towards the north, like the states of Punjab, Haryana and western Uttar Pradesh, became agriculturally prosperous, while others remained a little backward. The Green Revolution had two other effects. The first one was that in many parts, the stark contrast between the poor peasantry, the word peasantry has been taken from the word peasant, which means farmers. So the word peasantry would mean the whole community of the farmers. And landlords produced conditions favorable for the left-wing organizations to organize the poor peasants. Secondly, the Green Revolution also resulted in rise of what is called as the middle peasant section. These were farmers with medium-sized holdings of land who benefited from the changes and soon emerged politically influential in many parts of the country. Children, if you remember, in the previous video I did share with you that specifically when the Green Revolution was started, the government planned to give the HYV seeds, fertilizers, pesticides and better irrigation facilities and better loaning from the banks so that the farmers can prosper. And those were given first of all to those farmers who were already well off, so that there can be a rapid increase in their income status. Moving on to our next slide. The White Revolution. Coming to the White Revolution, which is also called as the Operation Flood in India. And if you talk about the Green Revolution, the previous revolution that we studied, it was also called as the Third Agricultural Revolution. So these are different names which can be given to the two revolutions. The Green Revolution can even be called as the Third Agricultural Revolution, which took place between 1950 and late 1960s. And now we are coming to the White Revolution, which is also called as the Operation Flood in the country. You must be familiar with the jingle, "Utterly Butterly Delicious" from Amul. I hope that you all are connected with this one-liner. So we'll study a little how it was produced and what is the history behind it. So this jingle and the enduring figure of the little girl holding a buttered toast, yes, it was the Amul advertisements. Behind it was a successful history of a cooperative dairy farming in India. Verghese Kurien, who is also called as altogether the founder, the father of doubled up quantity of milk in the country, was given a respectable position after this Operation Flood became a success. He was the one who played a crucial role. He was often called as the milkman of the country. So he played a vital role in the story of Gujarat Cooperative Milk and Marketing Federation Limited, launched by Amul. Based in Anand, a town in Gujarat, Amul is a dairy cooperative movement joined by about 2.5 million milk producers in Gujarat. You will be amazed to know that our country was called as milk deficient, but with this initiative from him, by his side, the quantity of the milk doubled up in the country, and it became so prosperous in the dairy products. The Amul pattern became uniquely, you can say, appropriate model for the rural development and the poverty alleviation, spurring what has come to be known as the White Revolution. So these two revolutions, one from the agricultural side and another from the dairy products, was tremendous. Moving on to our next slide. In 1970, the Rural Development Program, called as the Operation Flood, was started. It is very easy to understand that it does not touch, or rather it did not touch only the dairy, you can say, corner of the country, but with this doubled up the income, the status, the healthcare facilities, the educational mode, everything that connected with human beings. Flood organized cooperatives of milk producers into a nationwide milk grid with the purpose of increasing the milk production, bringing the producer and the consumer closer than before. Obviously, you must have studied in economics that when there merges, you can say, or there bridges a gap between the consumer and the producers, the prices automatically fall down. So now the dairy products were available to the maximum people in the country at nominal prices. It saw dairying as a path of development for generating employment and income for rural households and elevating poverty. So obviously, when more and more people started joining these cooperatives and they started getting employment opportunities, so automatically the unemployment problem was, you can say, fought a bit. And apart from that, when there will be a rise in the level of income in a household, then there will be better healthcare facilities, they'll be able to send their children to schools, and they'll be able to increase their standard of living. Moving on to our next slide. Later developments. Herein we are talking in a nutshell, right from the starting of the chapter, wherein we had a talk between the private and the public sectors of the economy. So here is what is, everything is given in a nutshell, that how the privatization was going on in the country. After Nehru's death, Indira Gandhi emerged as a popular leader. She decided to further strengthen the role of the state in controlling and directing the economy. The period from 1967 onwards witnessed many new restrictions on the private industry. So this is how the government was able to intervene in the basic industries and the basic important vital matters of the country. 14 private banks were nationalized, that is now they were given to the public sector. The government was able to intervene with them. The government was able to decide on with its policies. The government announced the pro-poor program. However, the consensus for a state-led economic development did not last forever. In view of the prevailing inefficiency and corruption in some public sector enterprises and not so positive role of the bureaucracy. A bureaucracy would mean a set of bureaucrats, the officials, which or rather who work for the government, as well as they are given the roles to finalize policies regarding states. So altogether you can say that this last point tells you the story of the country where privatization did not work well, and when many of the banks were nationalized and many of the industries were allowed to be taken over by the government, then it did not fare well and the outcome was not so positive. So in that case, the public opinion in the country lost its faith in many of the institutions. So automatically the people will lose their faith in the government. Why? Because it was not able to give everything in the hands of the private entrepreneurs, as well as when the government was allowed to intervene with the basic industries and with the crucial matters of the country, then again it was not a success. So herein we'll close the chapter and we'll study the matter